You see, why trigonometry? We've learned that, see, trigonometry is useful in not only mathematics, apart from this, we have many branches. You see, like we use trigonometry in astronomy, especially astronomy, in finding astronomical distances, then architecture, then electronics, functioning of sense organs. We use trigonometry even by brain functioning also. When we analyze the things, the functions come in Mach theta functions. Even map making and navigation, in the computation of longitudes and latitudes, we use degrees and angles, trigonometry. Then the physics of music, you know, music is nothing but the magic of math. Yes, even in physics of music also we use trigonometry. Not only this, many more. Apart from this, and trigonometry is the widely used branch of mathematics in all the other branches of mathematics. That is the speciality of trigonometry, isn't it? Now, friends, let us see a few examples in brief. You see, yeah, this one, the Biruni and radius of Earth. Around 1000 AD, the mathematician Biruni has computed the radius of the Earth with simple trigonometry. He has taken a hill, he moved certain distance, observed the angle of elevation, then again moved certain distance, observed the angle of elevation. He knows theta 2 and theta 1. This distance is known. By little trigonometry, you can find the height of the hill. Then this is the earth, this is the hill. He went up to the top of the hill and he observed the angle of depression of the particular tangent to the earth. That means this alpha is known. If r is the radius, you can observe this right angle triangle. Now you can see, if you just apply cos alpha here, r is equal to r plus h into cos alpha. With the help of h, he computed radius of the earth. Friends, you can't believe 1000 years ago it is going to be 99% accurate. 99% accurate, because of course earth is not a perfect sphere. So this is why maybe little error, but our trigonometry never failed. You see, simple trigonometry, without entering to the earth, just by simple calculations we could find the radius of the earth. What a wonderful application it is, isn't it? Then friends, you see, this longitudes and latitudes, we use degrees. You just take Google map, somewhere you take its location, the longitudes and latitudes of this point will be in degrees and radians, isn't it? Apart from this, you see, you take this exploration related example. Here is an island, a person is standing here, he wants to know the distance from here. He cannot travel easily, so he moved some distance this side and observed the angle here, and he moved some distance this side and this angle. He completely know this distance, both the angles are known. If he applies little trigonometry, he can easily find the height of this triangle here, which is nothing but distance of this point to the island. What a simple application. Practical problem, we have applied little trigonometry. Easily we are able to solve the problems. So this is why trigonometry is beautiful when we apply it to our daily life problems, right? Then you see, yeah, even optics related. Suppose if I want to find the distance from a particular point to this, from left eye I have observed a particular distance, and right eye the perception will be just estimating these two angles by similar triangles. We can compute the distance between this region to this place. Even the width of the particular object can also be computed. This is what we call, in optical physics we use trigonometry. These are simple applications, friends. I mean to say, this one, yeah. Now, with this motivation, we can enter into the topic, right? I mean to say, trigonometry, before we define trigonometric ratios, we must be able to know how to measure an angle, because entire trigonometry moves around an angle, right? Of course, there are three systems to measure an angle. One is sexagesimal system, degrees measure. Other is centesimal system, grades measure. Third one is radian measure. Before that, let me define an angle. You know well. You see, you take two rays having same initial point O. The amount of rotation required for one ray to coincide with the other is called an angle, generally denoted by theta. It is also a physical quantity like a distance, time, some other things. Now there will be some systems to measure, and these are the systems. Right. Let us see these systems in brief. Right. You see, if you take the sexagesimal system, degrees measure, let us consider a complete angle. Complete angle means a ray completely takes one rotation. This is complete angle. Then half of the complete angle is called straight angle, and half of the straight angle is called right angle. You see, in degrees measure, friends, in degrees measure, you can observe that a complete angle is divided into 360 parts, and each part is called 1 degree. So complete angle means it is 360 degrees. So a straight angle will be half of it, which is 180 degrees, and a right angle is half of it, 90 degrees. Right. And there are further divisions in a degree. And 1 degree can be divided into 60 parts, and each part is called 1 minute. So 1 degree is 60 minutes. And again, each minute is divided into 60 parts, so 1 minute is 60 seconds we call. Right? This minute and second may not be the things what we are using in our time. This notation is there. You see, everywhere we have given importance to 60, 60, 60, multiple of 60. In Sanskrit and Telugu we call sestam samanam. Sesti means 60. In English, sexagesimal system. We call it as degrees measure. And friends, there is a reason why we have divided into 360 degrees only. In those days, people used to feel that sun revolves around the earth and it takes 360 days to revolve around it. So each day it revolves 1 degree. So this is why they have divided into 360 degrees. That is the historical reason behind it. Okay, fine. This is degrees measure. Then second one is grades measure or centesimal system. Grades measure. Here the complete angle is divided into 200 parts, and each part is called 1 grade. You see, this is 100, 200, 400. Here 400 grades complete angle is. And here straight angle means it is 200 grades, and right angle means 100 grades. Now there are further divisions even in grades measure also. 1 grade is divided into 100 parts, so each part is called 1 minute. So 1 grade is 100 minute, and each minute is divided into 100 parts. Each part is called a second. So here 1 minute is equal to 100 seconds. Friends, there is no relation between minute here and minute here, second here and second here. They are completely disjoint. Fine. Here you see, everywhere we have given importance to 100. This is why it is called centesimal system. Right. Now let us see the next system, that is degrees measure. So there we require the definition called radian. You see, a radian is defined like you take a circle with some center, it will have some radius. The angle subtended by the arc whose length is equal to radius is called 1 radian. 1 radian is the angle subtended by the length of the arc whose length is equal to radius. Right. You see here it can show that since the length is 2 pi r, so this complete angle is 2 pi radians. This is radians. You see beautifully it is shown. The radius equal to r, accordingly he has taken a radian as, you see that length is taken, that length is kept here, and he is taking this angle is 1 radian. If you take a complete angle, it is going to be as 2 radians, 3 radians, next 4 radians. In complete angle there will be around, in pi radians you see 3.14 you can find, because circumference is 2 pi r, that is the reason, and there are no further divisions in radian. And another observation is, you just see which is greater, 1 degree or 1 grade or 1 radian. 1 radian is denoted by C here, which is greater. So here friends, you see 180 degrees will make one straight angle, 200 grades will make one straight angle, just 3.14 radians will make one straight angle, and hence you see smallest is 1 grade, then 1 degree, then 1 radian. And approximately friends, 180 degrees is pi radians. 180 degrees is pi radians. And moreover friends, actually for scientific purpose we use radian system, for practical purpose we use degree system, and grades is out of date. Mostly we don't use, except we are asked in a specific problem we use. Otherwise practically if you ask an engineer, the angle he will mention in terms of degree. Whereas if you say a function sin x, cos x, tan x, limit extends to 0 sin x by x, everywhere here function sin x means x is taken in radians. So radians is for scientific purpose and degrees is for actual practical purpose, that is the thing. And when 180 degrees is pi radian, with this relation we can easily convert angle from one measure to another measure, right? Then you see converting from radians to degrees and degrees to radians. You see we have given a mechanism here. You see, for example friends, you are given say 60 degrees is to be converted into how many radians is the question. We can think like this, 180 degrees is pi radians and 1 degree is pi by 180 radians, and 60 degrees is going to be pi by 180 into 60 degrees, which is going to be pi by 3. That is the mechanism. Suppose if you want to convert from degrees to radians, you see we can convert this to radians. Theta degrees means theta is multiplied by pi by 180. That is the thing. In the same way, if you want to convert some particular angle into radians, you can take like, suppose you want pi by 6 radians, you want to convert into degrees. You can write pi radians as 180 degrees, so 180 degrees by 6, which is 30 degrees. Or if you want to convert into radians, you see 180 by corresponding angle into pi, that's what we have written, pi by 6 into 180 by pi, which gives you 30 degrees. In this way easily you can convert angle from radians to degrees and degrees to radians. And moreover, the most frequently used angles are pi by 6, pi by 4, pi by 6, pi by 4, pi by 3 and pi by 2. These are the most frequently used, and the angles that are used are their multiples or submultiple. For example, pi by 6 is 30 degrees, pi by 4 is 45 degrees, pi by 3 is 60 degrees and pi by 2 is 90 degrees. If you just remember this, all the angles that are given generally multiples or submultiples of these. So by using these we can easily convert angles from radians to degrees and degrees to radians. Right. Then next one, now we have done, see what is pi we have seen, y trigonometry we have seen, and various systems to measure an angle and conversion of angle from one system to other system is seen. Then we are going to define the 6 trigonometric ratios. Friends, you see, you take any circle in the, you see, suppose this is xy plane, consider a unit circle or like this. You choose any point on it p x comma y. Suppose join O and P with O. The angle subtended by OP with positive x-axis is theta and let OP distance is r. Now we define the 6 trigonometric ratios like sin theta is y coordinate by r. R is always distance which is positive, and cos theta we define as x coordinate by r. Tan theta we define as sin theta by cos theta or y coordinate by x coordinate, and cosecant theta, secant theta, cot theta are respectively the reciprocals of these 3 functions. This is the actual definitions of the 6 trigonometric ratios, right? As theta varies from 0 to 2 pi, xy varies, r will be same, all the values will be varied. Friends, even though the circle is bigger or smaller, by similarity the ratio value will be same. That is our fundamental observation. So sin theta is associated with y coordinate, cos theta is associated with x coordinate. That is the main point, right? Then you see, that's what we have given here. So he has taken px comma y here, and here sin theta cos theta, this is going to be x coordinate, this is going to be y coordinate. He has taken of radius 1. So accordingly he has taken the definitions. Now friends, you see, especially in an acute angled triangle, in lower classes we define sin theta means opposite side by hypotenuse, cos theta is adjacent side by hypotenuse. Suppose in this right angle triangle, P is opposite side of theta, B is adjacent side of theta, H is the hypotenuse. So we defined like sin theta opposite side by hypotenuse, cos theta adjacent side by hypotenuse, tan theta opposite side by adjacent side, and the reciprocals, it's reciprocal, secant theta is reciprocal of cos theta and tan theta is reciprocal of cosecant theta. In fact, this definition is valid only when theta is acute. This is because you see, if you take a circle here, you see, when theta is acute, this theta, if this is x comma y, just drop a perpendicular, if this is x comma y, you see, this is going to be x, this is going to be y. See, y acts as opposite side of theta, x acts as adjacent side of theta. This is y, opposite side of theta by hypotenuse. These definitions are valid only when theta is acute angle. When theta is not acute angle, this definition will be gayab, will not be. Then we have to take the generalized definition what we have taken, because if I talk about sine 120 degrees, there doesn't exist a right angle triangle where one of the angle is 120 degrees. There doesn't exist a triangle where one of the angles is 0 degrees, 340 degrees and all. So when theta is acute, this is okay. When theta is any angle, the actual definitions y coordinate by r, x coordinate by r definition is completely valid. Those are the actual definitions, right? Then the next one. So sign of trigonometric function in various quadrants. You see friends, you just take the 4 quadrants. In first quadrant, if you take the circle here, for any point x comma y, x coordinate positive, y coordinate positive, r is anyhow positive. Since all the 3 are positive, all the 6 trigonometric ratios will be positive. Whereas, when you come to second quadrant, here you see, this is going to be, you take any point, it is going to be negative positive, x coordinate negative, y coordinate positive. So here for this particular theta, you see sine will be positive because y coordinate is positive, cos will be negative, tan will be negative. So cosecant theta and secant theta, sine theta are the only positive things here because they are associated with r and y coordinate. So in second quadrant, only sine family we call. Sine theta and cosecant theta are positive, remaining are all negative. Whereas in third quadrant, if you take any angle, it will be negative, negative. So here sine theta negative, cos theta negative, but tan theta is positive because y coordinate by x coordinate. Tan positive and hence cot positive, and hence in third quadrant theta, if you choose a theta which is in third quadrant, only tan theta and cot theta are positive, remaining are all negative. Whereas if you take some angle in fourth quadrant, it will be like plus minus. So friends, here cos theta, x coordinate by r is going to be positive, so secant theta is going to be positive. Rest of all the 4 are going to be negative. This is the variation of sign of the 6 trigonometric ratios in the 4 quadrants. We can just see this. Yes, there is a mnemonic event to remember. This is all silver tea cups. All silver teacups. All silver teacups. My friends have come to my home. I have given teacups in silver. All silver teacups. You see, all means A, all trigonometric ratios. Silver stands for S. S means sine family and cosecant. And T means T stands for tan theta and cot theta will be positive. Here cos means cups means cot. Cups means not cot. It is cos. Cos theta and secant theta are going to be positive. That's all. So this is the best mnemonic to remember. So when theta is taken in various quadrants, we can easily find its sign. Right? This is concept number 2. So we talked about measuring an angle, conversion of an angle. We have defined the 6 trigonometric ratios, followed by we have seen the change of its sign in various quadrants. Then let us see the next point. Yeah. Friends, these are the basic trigonometric identities. You know well. You might have proved these in earlier classes for acute angle triangle. Friends, you take any circle like this, for any theta you take, whatever theta it may be, x comma y is the point, R, this is O, this is P. Now you know that x square plus y square is equal to r square because distance between OP is r. Okay. Now you just divide this with r square. You are going to get s by r whole square plus y by r whole square is equal to 1. For any theta, wherever the point may be, it is going to be this. So y by r stands for sine theta, x by r stands for cos theta. Sine square theta plus cos square theta is going to be 1 for any theta, any theta. That is the thing. Similarly, friends, the same relation x square plus y square is equal to 1. You just divide with x square. You will get 1 plus y by x whole square. This is r square, right? So you will get r square by x square, which is 1 plus, this is tan theta, right? Tan square theta plus secant square theta. So 1 plus tan square theta is equal to secant square theta, which can be written like secant square theta minus tan square theta is equal to 1. In the same way, you take here you divide with y square, you are going to get x by y whole square plus 1 is equal to r by y whole square, which becomes 1 plus cot square theta is cosecant square theta. Hence the third result, cosecant square theta minus cot square theta is 1. And apart from this, friends, these three are basic identities. This is true for any theta wherever they are defined. Any theta wherever they are defined. So they are basic identities. And apart from this, friends, secant square theta minus tan square theta 1 in the sense secant theta minus tan theta into secant theta plus tan theta is also 1. So we can observe that if secant theta plus tan theta is equal to some number k, then secant theta minus tan theta is going to be 1 by k. Friends, because they are reciprocal to each other, because their product must be 1. In the same way, cosecant theta minus cot theta, if it is k, cosecant theta plus cot theta should be 1 by k, because they are reciprocal to each other. These are the four most important trigonometric identities which we use very frequently. So once again, sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. 1 plus tan square theta is secant square theta, and 1 plus cot square theta is cosecant square theta. That is the thing. This is the next important point as far as this topic is concerned. Right? Then yeah, let us take trigonometric ratios for some standard angles. You see, we've seen these in the earlier classes. So how to derive sine 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees and 0 degrees. If you just see, for example, you take an equilateral triangle with some side A, so each side is A. So all the angles would be 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. You just drop a perpendicular onto the base. You just see, in an equilateral triangle, the altitude is going to be median, angular bisector, perpendicular bisector, everything. So this is going to be 30 degrees and this is median, this becomes A by 2, A by 2, and since it is altitude, height, this becomes root 3 by 2 times A in an equilateral triangle. From this, the trigonometric ratios of 30 degrees and 60 degrees can be derived. You see, sine of 30 degrees, opposite side by hypotenuse 1 by 2. Cos of 30 degrees, you can derive, for 30 degrees adjacent side is this, hypotenuse is A, which is going to be root 3 by 2. Similarly, for 60 degrees, sine of 60 degrees is going to be opposite side by hypotenuse, which is root 3 by 2. And cos of 60 degrees is going to be, yes, adjacent side by hypotenuse, which is 1 by 2. In this way, once you know sin theta, cos theta, you can easily write tan theta and remaining 3 also. So 30 degrees, 60 degrees are well known to us. For 45 degrees, we can collect this particular right angle triangle isosceles one, which is 45 degrees, 45 degrees. So friends, if this is A, this is also A, this is going to be A root 2 by Pythagoras theorem. You just see what is sin 45 degrees, 1 by root 2, cos 45 degrees, 1 by root 2. So in this way, we can derive trigonometric ratios for 45 degrees also. Sin 45 degrees is going to be 1 by root 2 and cos 45 degrees is going to be 1 by root 2, and hence tan 45 degrees is 1, and respectively we can find all the other. Now how to find about 0 degrees and 90 degrees? You see, if you just take x-axis, take a ray which makes an angle 0 degrees with x-axis. Choose some point on it, say 3, 0. Sin 0 degrees means y coordinate by r, 0 by 3 is 0. Cos 0 degrees means x coordinate by r, 3 by 3, which is 1. In this way, you can find sin 0 degrees, cos 0 degrees values. And for 90 degrees, you choose a point here, say 0, 2, which is 2. Sin 90 degrees is y coordinate by r, 2 by 2, which is 1. And cos 90 degrees is 0 by 2, which is 0. Isn't it? Earlier in lower classes we know the values, but actual with the elaborated actual definition we can find trigonometric ratios for these angles. Now see, this one we have derived. Even tan 90 degrees is sin 1 by 0 is not defined, and hence tan is not defined here. The next one, friends, after knowing this, we need to know trigonometric ratios for higher angles. For example, friends, I want to compute sine of 1230 degrees angles I want to compute. First, let me tell me the mechanism, then I will tell you how it works. If you want for sine of 1230 degrees, just divide 1230 degrees with 90. Why 90? The quadrant changes with every 90 degrees. 90 ones are 90, so 330, 90 threes are 270, so you will be getting 60 degrees as the remainder. So friends, you can consider the problem like sine of 13 into 90 degrees plus 60 degrees. This is the thing. Now I have to write the answer. Here two steps, friends. First sine, then magnitude. Sine and magnitude. Just you see in which quadrant it lies. This format may not be the angle. You see, we start from here 0 degrees. 190, 290s, 390s, 490s we will come here. Again 890s we will come here. 1290s we will be here only. 1390s plus something we will be in second quadrant. Here friends, this may not be acute. Whatever it is, you take the format, may not be the angle. If it is 13 into 90 means second quadrant format you take. In this format, in second quadrant, what about the sign? Sign is positive. Then second step is observe the quotient. Is it even or odd? Here friends, if it is even, your answer is going to be as it is. Whatever sign is there, it becomes sine. Cos is there, it becomes cos, like this. If it is odd, then the problem starts, and sine should be changed as cos and cos must be changed as sine. Tan must be changed as cot. Let me write here. Sine must be changed as cos and cos must be changed as sine, and tan must be changed as cot. Cot must be changed as tan, and cosecant should be changed as secant. Secant must be changed as cosecant. I say these are, one is friend of the other. You see, sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, cosecant, they are friends. This is why it is given like this. If odd number is there, just to say, I say the it is in trouble, then its friend comes and helps it. So sine's friend is cosine, so it becomes cos. This angle whatever is there, you have to write. Let me repeat, friends. First divide the bigger angle with 90, quotient remainder you write. First thing, decide the quadrant in which it lies. Okay, it is in second quadrant. In second quadrant, sign is positive, all silver teacups. Then it is going to be, friends, quotient even or odd. If it is even, no problem, as it is, sine becomes sine, cos cos, tan tan, cot cot, secant, like that. If it is odd number, its friend comes and helps. Sine's friend is cosine, so cos come, and this comes like this. And cos 60 degrees, you know, 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2 is the answer. Friends, let me tell me the mistake done by most of the student. First they compute this odd number, so cos 60 they write, then they observe the quadrant, second quadrant. Now they will have the confusion. In second quadrant, cos negative, shall I write minus, or sine positive, shall I write plus? That will be the confusion by the students. So old is gold, old one is important. So sine, old one's sign must be written. That is the point. Friend, this is why first I suggest to write the sign first, then no confusion. You write the magnitude. This is how to compute trigonometric ratio values for higher angles. Okay? Then, next. Yeah. Even friends, you can also see, suppose I want to compute sine of 300 degrees I want to compute. What I write is sine of, I can write 360 degrees minus 60 degrees I can write. So 360 degrees, in fact it is 4 into 90 degrees minus 60 degrees. The same point friends, it is in which quadrant? 4 into 90 will be here, and minus 60 means we are in fourth quadrant. In fourth quadrant sine is negative. Sine is done. Then it is even number, so sine comes as it is, sine 60 degrees. So which is, answer is minus root 3 by 2. The same can be written like 270 plus 30 degrees. 270 is odd multiple, which is 3 into 90, so accordingly you have to change. You just see that here 180 or 360 are there, it becomes even multiple, so comes as it is. If it is 90 or 270 is there, sine becomes cos, cos becomes sine, tan becomes cot, cot becomes tan, secant becomes cosecant, cosecant becomes secant, and computation will be just like routine. Okay, just for your convenience, let me show this. You see, theta and 360, 90 degrees minus theta related, 90 degrees plus theta related, 180 degrees minus theta, 180 degrees plus theta. Friends, even minus theta means you can treat like in fourth quadrant. Minus theta is computed in clockwise direction. So in fourth quadrant, cos is secant or positive, so this is why cos of minus theta is going to be positive and sine of minus theta is going to be negative, and cot of minus theta is also negative, right? So in this way we can compute trigonometric ratios of allied angles, right? The next point. Now if sine theta, next important concept is, if trigonometric ratio of one particular, value of one trigonometric ratio is given, how to find the trigonometric ratio of other angles? You see friends, if suppose sine theta is equal to 1 by 2 is given, immediately we know sine 30 degrees 1 by 2. If someone writes cos theta is equal to root 3 by 2, am I correct or wrong? Seems to be correct, but not 100% correct, because sine theta 1 by 2 means it may be 30 degrees or 150 degrees. If it is 150 degrees, cos 150 degrees is going to be negative. Or if you use the identity sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1, you will get cos theta is equal to plus or minus root 3 by 2. That means if one trigonometric ratio is given, you can find the other trigonometric ratio's magnitude. Cannot find the value exactly. To find the value exactly, we need some more supporting data, like theta belongs to first quadrant or theta does not belong to first quadrant kind of questions. For example friends, here suppose the problem is like, if sine theta is 1 by 2 and theta does not belong to first quadrant, find cos theta. Now we are clear. First you see whether the magnitude is known magnitude in the table or not. Yes, it's a known magnitude. Sin 30 degrees is 1 by 2. Okay, for the same 30 degrees, cos is going to be root 3 by 2. You write the magnitude. Now search for the sign. Sign is positive, but not means first quadrant or second quadrant, but it is not in first quadrant, so theta is in second quadrant. So in second quadrant, cos is going to be negative, minus root 3 by 2 is cos theta, right? That is the thing. For example, one is given like tan theta is equal to 5 by 12. Find sin theta, and theta does not belong to say Q3, he said. Okay, fine. This is not a known magnitude, but still in that case you take the help of right angle triangle by Pythagoras theorem for magnitude. If theta is here, for magnitude, opposite side is 5, adjacent side is 12, by Pythagorean triplets it is going to be 13. We want, suppose sin theta. Sin theta magnitude is nothing but opposite side by hypotenuse. We have written. Magnitude is okay. I want the sign. You see, tan theta positive means theta must be first quadrant or third quadrant. But he said not in third quadrant. So it must be in first quadrant. In first quadrant, sign is positive. So plus 5 by 13 is the answer. So in this way, not only sin theta, you can find cos theta, tan theta and all. So to find the trigonometric ratios of all the other, apart from magnitude of one trigonometric ratio, you need some more supporting data. Friends, for your convenience, suppose this question is given. Secant theta plus tan theta is equal to 1 by 5. Find sin theta. This is the question. Find sin theta if secant theta plus tan theta is 1 by 5. Now you just take secant theta minus tan theta is equal to 5 from trigonometric identities. You just add these two. You are going to get 2 secant theta is going to be, which is 26 by 5. From this, cos theta is equal to 5 by 13. Now sin theta is, you see, from the same figure, cos theta, if you take like this is adjacent side hypotenuse, opposite side is going to be 12 by 13, sin theta magnitude. But now the option is 12 by 13, minus 12 by 13, plus or minus 12 by 13, cannot be determined. These are the options. Then how to say? Can we determine its sign? Magnitude is okay. Can we determine this sign? When cos theta is known, sin theta can be, magnitude can be known, but plus or minus. Is there any supporting data to determine the quadrant? Yes. You just subtract here this equation to this equation. You are going to get 2 tan theta is going to be 1 by 5 minus 5 negative. So tan theta negative. You see, cos theta positive, tan theta negative, which is in fourth quadrant. In fourth quadrant, sin theta is negative. The answer is minus 12 by 13. That is the thing. So friends, in this way, if one trigonometric ratio is given magnitude wise, and we can find all the other trigonometric ratios magnitude, if at all you want the sign, supporting data is definitely required. That is the thing. Next. So, idea of eliminating theta. Friends, as far as eliminating theta is concerned, you may be given certain equations. For example, you are given x by a is cos theta is given, and y by b is sin theta is given, and you will be asked to eliminate theta. That means here theta is the parameter. Now we need to establish a relation connecting x and y such a way that in the final result theta should not be. You see, if you observe these, one can say that here by the identity sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1, you just square and add x by a whole square plus y by b whole square gives cos square theta plus sin square theta, which is going to be 1. So the final answer is going to be x square by a square plus y square by b square is equal to 1. This is what we call eliminating theta. Here it is in the parameter theta, we prepared it into Cartesians x and y. For example, you are given x is equal to a cos theta plus b sin theta and y is equal to a sin theta minus b cos theta is given. Now how to eliminate theta? We will be asked to find eliminate theta. If you just try, the idea is if you just consider squaring and adding. If you just square and add, you see a square cos square theta, a square sin square theta will become a square. B square sin square theta plus b square cos square theta will become b square, and plus 2ab sin theta cos theta minus 2ab sin theta cos theta gets cancelled. So finally you will get a relation like x square plus y square is equal to a square plus b square. In this way you will be given a set of problems to eliminate theta. Just observe the equations. Options may also help you, and your intuition what to be done to eliminate theta will help you to establish a relation in x and y to eliminate theta. That is the thing. These kind of problems can be seen. Then let us see the graphs of the trigonometric functions. Here you see, let us take up the domain and range of the trigonometric functions. Now here I have taken a unit circle with center 0, 0 and radius 1. I have taken various points here. For sin theta you see y coordinates and cos theta you see x coordinates. For every point can be written like cos theta sin theta as radius is 1. You know domain is nothing but all possible inputs, and range and domain of these functions let us see first of all. Now first let us talk about the sin x function. Right? For sin x function, if you observe, theta can be taken from, you see, 0 to 2 pi, all angles can be taken. Even here also, even you can also move in negative direction, so the domain of the function can be taken from 0 to 2 pi, not only that, can be extended. You see, for every point we have taken cos theta comma sin theta, it is in this format. Now domain is all possible inputs as we have said, and range is going to be all possible outcomes. Okay, now you see theta, as I said, theta is moving from 0 to 2 pi and can be continued from 2 pi to 4 pi, 4 pi to 6 pi, like that. So domain can be taken from 0 to infinity. Even in negative direction also it can be taken from minus infinity also. And hence friends, the domain is R, whereas range you see y values, you can observe that it varies from -1 to 1. So this is a beautiful picture which talks about domain and range of sin theta. Similarly, even for the function cos theta also, same logic, domain can be any real number, because theta can be varied from 0 to 2 pi and 2 pi to 4 pi, 4 pi to 6 pi, and range is also, here you can see -1 to 1. That's what we have written for both the functions sin theta and cos theta. Domain and range are R, as well as range is -1 to 1. You consider the function tan theta, which is sin theta by cos theta. As cos theta goes to 0 plus or minus, tan theta goes to plus or minus infinity. So the range of R is R, whereas whenever cos theta is 0, the function tan is not defined because denominator becomes 0. and hence domain of this function is all real numbers except odd multiples of pi by 2 for tan function, whereas range is R. You see, you just see trigonometric function is periodic. You see sin x value oscillates between -1 to 1 for the range. You see, as sin x, you just observe the y coordinates, it starts from 0 to -1 and so on. You see, it oscillate between -1 to 1. Even cos x is also. So friends, these are periodic function with period 2 pi, because sin of x plus 2 pi is sin x, isn't it? In the same way, we can see cos function is also periodic, and hence let us see the same situation in the graph of y is equal to sin x as well as y is equal to cos x. I have taken the graph paper where this is 0 comma 0 because sin 0 is 0. And similarly in first quadrant, let us try to draw when x value is pi by 6, the value is going to be 1 by 2. So pi by 6 comma 1 by 2 point is plotted. Then again at pi by 3 it is root 3 by 2 sine function. So that number is plotted. At pi by 2 it is 1. So this is the graph of sin x in first quadrant, you can observe. In second quadrant it moves from pi by 2 to pi, so it drops from 1 to 0. That is the graph of sin x. In third quadrant, let us see now. You see, when we move to third quadrant, sin x graph moves from pi by 2 to pi. In the same way, let us go to fourth quadrant. Here from 270 to 360 degrees when I go, the point moves from, you see, -1 to 0. In fourth quadrant you can observe the graph here. You see, this is the complete graph of sin x from 0 to 2 pi when complete cycle is completed, because it is a periodic function of period 2 pi. The same graph you can extend either right side as well as left side. So if we extend this graph from -2 pi to 0, the same situation comes. Then you just join that side graph also. This is the graph of sin x from -2 pi to 2 pi, right? Then at the same time, friends, the graph can be extended infinitely on right side as well as left side. So this is the graph of sin x. It's a smooth curve, continuous curve, and you see we can see some certain transformations of the graphs. I have taken y is equal to a sin x. Some number is multiplied where a is positive, suppose more than 1, like y is equal to 2 sin x. The graph will be stretched vertically, right? And hence friends, you see it is not going to change the period. If you take -2 sin x, reflection of this about x axis will take, but the period is not changed, and its amplitude is going to be 2. You see, on positive x axis you can see the maximum amplitude 2 there, right? In the same way, we can also see the graphs of some other sin bx, like sin 2x, sin 3x graphs. If you observe sin 2x, you see horizontally compressed where the period is changed. Here the period is pi itself, isn't it? So when bx is introduced, x coefficient is introduced, if b is more than 1 it is compressed, b is less than 1 it will be elongated. So period is going to be 2 pi by b, that is the thing. So if you just take the graph of sin x plus k, some number is added, for example sin x plus 1, the graph shifts by 1 unit up, period is not changed. In the same way, if you subtract also, the period is not going to be changed. Let us just see the graph of sin x plus something, then next one you take sin of x plus pi by 2, which is shift of the graph left by pi by 2, because it becomes 0 at minus pi by 2. But still here the period is not changed for the graph of sin x. This is the thing. Similarly, let us take the graph of cos x. Let us see. You know, cos function at 0 it is 1. So the point is 0 comma 1. In first quadrant, graph of cos x at pi by 2 it becomes 0. In second quadrant, that is the graph of cos x. Then third quadrant, that is the graph. And fourth quadrant it is again positive. This is one complete loop of cos x from 0 to 2 pi. Since it is also periodic function with period 2 pi, you can extend this. You just see the difference of sin x and cos x, it passes through origin, whereas it doesn't pass through origin. But unless otherwise, both seem to be alike. but the position is the difference. Let us see the graph of this function y is equal to 4 into sine of 2x minus 2 pi by 3. For that, what should I take? I must start with, first its amplitude is 4. Let us take the basic graph y is equal to sine x. Let us do the transformations so that we can draw its graph. 4 sine x I have taken, 4 units it is stretched. After that, sine 2x is introduced, compressed horizontally by phase shift is 2 pi by 3. As minus, it shifts right side 2 pi by 3. You can observe the phase shift will be 2 pi by 3. As the period is 2 by 2, so pi by 3 it shifts. So it shifts pi by 3 units right side. So this is the graph of this function. So friends, the period is going to be, friends, you can see that 4 pi by 3, and at 4 pi by 3, pi by 3, it varies. At various positions of points, we have given coloring to draw the graph. It perfectly fits with the transformations of graph we have seen. So friends, I mean to say, at point 3, point 4, point 5, we have plotted blue, green, orange, yellow, blue points denote the respective points, which talk about the same positioning of the points in xy plane, which best describes the graph of 4 sine of 2x minus 2 pi by 3. Similarly, let us have a look at the graphs of tan x, cot x, cosecant x, secant x. You see, if you take the graph of tan x, which is sin x by cos x, range is minus infinity to infinity. You can observe that the graph, when cos x goes to 0, either plus or minus, accordingly tan x also goes to plus or minus infinity, right? You can plot the graph in xy plane. You see, this is the plane. In the first quadrant, it is going from minus, you see, minus infinity to infinity in minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Same is the case. In second quadrant, this is the graph of, the first quadrant is this is the graph. As well, third quadrant, it is the graph. Then second quadrant and fourth quadrants, as well you can see it is negative, and fourth quadrant it is negative. You can also see in fourth quadrant. So from the graph, you can talk about its continuity as well as its periodicity, and smoothness of the curve can be discussed about the tan x function, right? Similarly, cot x function, if you just take sin x becomes 0 at n pi, at every n pi it is not defined like pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, otherwise its range is also r. That's what we have seen here. So the graph of cot x is discontinuous at every multiple of pi. That's what we have observed. So from the graph we talk about many things, friends. So tan x graph and cot x graph are almost similar, but the point of discontinuity will be different. Now you see the graph of cosecant x and secant x. The range is 1 to infinity and minus infinity to minus 1. You see, cosecant x is not defined wherever sin x is not defined, that is at n pi. Secant x is not defined at odd multiples of pi by 2 where cos x is not defined. That is the thing. Unless otherwise, the range is going to be this. Okay. So friends, I mean to say, before I say thank you, we have seen in this session, you see, a brief review of, first we talked about pi, then we recollected why trigonometry and what are the important areas practically we use trigonometry. Then some beautiful applications we have seen. Then we have defined the 6 trigonometric ratios in a structured manner. What we have learnt in schooling is only in acute angle triangle, here elaborated manner. Then behavior of the trigonometric ratios in various quadrants. Then trigonometric ratios values for some standard angles, trigonometric identities. We have talked about allied angles which help us in finding trigonometric ratios of higher angles even. Then if one trigonometric ratio value is given and supporting data is given, how to find the all other trigonometric ratio values. Then eliminating theta problems and 1 or 2 applications, and the most important thing is graphs of the trigonometric functions are seen. Right. So with this synopsis, we can comfortably move forward to the next subtopic, that is compound angles of trigonometry with this. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you.